And this implosion, of course, isn't going to be easy. With a look at how the Sands Tower was built and how it's going to come down, here is Steve Krupe. Hi again, Steve.
Hey, Ken, everything's a go still for our 2 a.m. countdown. And the tower that you see behind me out there wasn't always there. And in fact, it wasn't even part of the original Sands, which opened back in 1952. Originally, the Sands was a bunch of low-rise, two-story bungalows. And then in the early 60s, the co-owners got together and they started building what would become, at that time, the tallest building in Las Vegas, the tallest tower on the Strip for many years. And there it goes up, piece by piece, floor by floor. At the very top, the name Danny Thomas was up there. Joey Bishop on the marquee, you'll see. He was one of the performers at the time. And then in 1965, the Sands Tower opened, and that's how it looked as it came together back in the mid-60s. Quite a little historical moment. We've got all sorts of little historical vignettes to give you a flavor of what the Sands was like in its heyday, including the entertainment. Robin Burke's been following that. We'll switch now live to Robin.
Thanks, Steve. You know, there are 36 suites and 702 rooms in the Sands, but there's really only one room worth mentioning, and there was no room like the Copa Room. Obviously, that was not it, and hopefully we can get that back for you on here pretty soon. There were names like Nat King Cole. Danny Thomas, in fact, was the first name ever to be put on the marquee. It was the famous place for the Rat Pack, of course, and hopefully, do we have that tape? Okay, we're going to go back to Steve Krupe now.
Okay, Robin, what you were actually looking at in that videotape that you saw was a time capsule. You saw people putting things inside this time capsule, which was buried into the ground back in 1953 on the one-year anniversary of the Sands. And they tell us that that time capsule has been recovered. It's been pulled from the ground out there at the Sands, and that they're holding it in a safe place until they build the new resort out there, a $1.8 billion mega resort, and that Sands time capsule will be put back into the ground. Here you see it, folks putting things in it, stars putting their autographs on it. The writing on there says that the capsule would be buried amid the sands of time to be reopened 100 years from 1953. That would put it at the year 2053. And there it goes, the time capsule machine. They pressed some buttons. They launched the time capsule, and whoosh, down into the ground it went. It was quite a time back then. They really played things up in a way that we don't often do in these modern days. So that time capsule, they're going to put it back in the ground and perhaps dug up back in 2053. So we're going to send it back to Robin Burke and get more on the entertainers who performed at the Sands. Robin?
Thanks, Steve. We are definitely going to try this again. Once again, let's take you back to December 1952 when the star line heading on the marquee was Danny Thomas. This was the very first show in the famed Copa Room, December 1952, with Danny Thomas as the featured performer. That was just the beginning, though, of what would become the most unforgettable lineup of entertainers in Las Vegas history.
Unforgettable, that's what you are.
Nat King Cole performed at the Sands. So did Chubby Checker, as well as some spectacular opening acts, like the Clark Brothers. But of course, the biggest showbiz bonanza was provided by a trio of entertainers known as the Rat Pack.
What a nut.
Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Frank Sinatra. A time in Las Vegas history that will never be repeated, and it's something that just really has the Sands Hotel at the heart of so many entertainers. They loved playing here, and a lot of them sent letters on the last day here at the Sands saying how sad they were to see that Las Vegas couldn't see fit to let it stand. But that's not going to happen, as we all know that doesn't happen around here. The new mega resort will be coming in soon. Back to you guys in the studio.